Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello. Hi, welcome to this session, the negotiation session. Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
All right, thanks. We'll begin by saying my sister's prayer. Can we begin, Viv, or are we about, sorry, do we have to wait for more people to join?
Go ahead.
Hello, Val.
Can you hear me? Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, fine. I'm looking for a volunteer to do my sister's prayer.
I can do it.
Hello. Maitumelo, you want to volunteer? I'm sharing my
yes,
screen.
I can do this, my sister's prayer.
Super. Thanks, Maitumelo. Let me put it up. Can you see it?
Okay. No, not yet.
May I proceed?
Yes, it's up now. Okay. I am my sister's keeper. I will build my sister up, encourage her, empower her, and pray for her. I have no reason to talk about her, tear her down, be jealous of her, or to compete with her. I'm going to stand behind her and help her push into her destiny.
Sorry, have you finished?
Can you hear us, Milka? Your network is not great.
Oh, you finished? Because I can't hear anything. I assumed you finished.
Yes, you finished. Maybe turn your camera off so you can hear us, so that your network will be better. Maybe, Milka.
Oh, that's yeah. My network is so dodgy. Okay. Okay. So the plan for this evening is we'll do first of all we've done the welcome and the prayer, and we'll do a review of session 3, and then we'll do an intro on the negotiation, and then we have a speaker today. Her name is Emily. After that, we'll go into mentorship circles and then feedback as usual. So today, is Nobile here with us?
She is running late, unfortunately. She's running late from another meeting. Maybe we should ask if any of the mentees would like to give her some feedback from last week. Milka, can you hear us? Milka, are you there? Would anyone like to give some feedback about last week's session? Give us a update from last week's session. It looks like Milka's frozen. Clau, will you give us an update about last week, please?
Okay. What I remember from last week, I think our topic was
I remember as we were talking about basically public speaking, or just standing in front of the people and doing your speeches. And I remember us stating, hello?
Go ahead, Matumela, and then Clau can add on after you. Go ahead. Milka, are you there? Clau, do you want to go ahead? Looks like Matumela's network is also bad.
All right, no problem. What I remember was basically our theme was related to communication. And I remember that I think 2 out of the 3 pillars of communication were inspirational and clarity. I think I forgot the third one. But I do remember that there were 3 pillars to the art of communication. And I understood that while communicating to a variety of audiences, you should be able to be assertive and tell your story. And you should be able to unpack your value systems or your morals across to whoever you're talking to.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, you got 2 then. That's excellent. Can anyone else remember the other 2?
I think the other one was to know your audience.
Yes, Loretta, excellent. Yes, know your audience. And there's one more. The most important one of all. Milka, are you there? So we have know your audience, know your why behind your what, telling your story, and there's one more, a very, very important one. Call to action. Katlego, yes, call to action. Well done. Call to action it is. Yes, excellent. Did anyone get to practice any of their skills this last week? I'm interested to know if anybody practiced some of these skills.
For me, I think I did.
Yes, tell us.
More on preparation. You find that, you know, when you have to engage into a communication, you have to prepare, of which sometimes I think because we are so under pressure, you just go there without preparing your communication. So like for this session, I prepared. So I feel so much confident, because if you don't prepare, then obviously you're not confident. You don't come out across as you want to come out because you haven't prepared. So that's one thing I took out from the last session, to say that whatever that you want to do, prepare.
Yes. Lorata, you hit the nail on the head. Anything that builds your confidence before you go into any of those, having to communicate anything, will help you and make you be more clear and help you be more persuasive and inspirational. So well done. Well done for practicing. I love that. Did anyone else practice anything else? Go ahead, Esther.
Thanks, Val. Good evening. Maybe just something to share that last week, Saturday, we were with the UEJ team, and the lady I was going to share the podium with as a speaker, we have not met. But what also I took away, which is what we did very well, we decided to first talk without knowing each other, got to know each other, and spoke about what you're going to be talking about, and we aligned. And when we went into the presentation, there was such a nice flow, as if we have been rehearsing our speeches together. But that shows, again, if you are going to communicate, knowing your audience, but also on the other hand, if you're going to share the podium, be able to be open in the person that's going to be talking with you, and that you are all singing from the same hymn sheet. And it just happened that, you know, there was such a nice kosher relationship that we established. So it was also one of the lessons that I took from the previous module. Thank you.
Absolutely, Esther. And I think one of the things that you did so well last week was that you told your story, and you told your story that was relevant to the topic of the day, which was courageous leadership. And it resonated so well because you were giving the specific message and giving a call to action to the young girls. So well done on that. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Val.
Okay, Milka, are you back? Yay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Milka.
Oh, I think I'll keep I can't see any of you, but I'll keep my screen off. Of all days, today it chooses to do that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we've done the recap. Yeah. Technology can let you down. So I wanted to begin with the module on negotiation, and as my computer tries to cooperate, there's a quote that I had found that it's, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. So you go into a negotiation being clear about where you stand, and not fearing and being willing to give in all the time. Okay, so I found this also quite useful. So as we move into the model that we have listened to, so negotiation is about knowing what you want, going after it, and respecting the other person in the process. So in this module, we would like you to understand how to advocate for yourself and for others. So what are the typical negotiating challenges that you face? Who do you have to negotiate with as a student, a daughter, an employee, a community member, or a leader? Do we do the role play at this point, Val, or shall we continue with the? Hello?
You asked a question about when girls have had to negotiate. Let's hear when girls have had to negotiate.
So I can't see any of you. So
stop sharing.
I stopped sharing. Yeah, good. I still can't see, but I can see the names.
All right. Any examples of when you girls have had to negotiate? I'd like to know some examples. Did any of you go to the shops today?
Hello? Should you pick on people? Hello?
Go ahead, Mbali.
Hello?
Go ahead, Mbali.
Yes. I think a lot of the times group work requires a lot of negotiating, because just to get to the common goal of things, there's a requirement of compromise and negotiating just so that you guys can actually achieve a certain goal. So I think with me, it's teamwork, where that's when I've often had to negotiate.
Brilliant example. Yeah. It's when you have to try and get everyone aligned to what you want to achieve or what the goal is. I think that's a really good example. Any others? Anyone else have examples of when you've had to negotiate? Who has kids?
I do.
How often do you have to negotiate with your kids, Lorato?
All the time. You know, they always want to get away with something. So obviously I have to negotiate with them to even do their bed, even if, you know, that's how bad they are. But over and above that, I think also even at work, we do that a lot because I'm in sales. So most of the time you have to negotiate with your clients so that, you know, you can reach your goal. So I do that like on a daily basis, if I can put it that way.
Nice, lovely. Who's married? Anybody married?
I am.
Let's hear from someone else about having to negotiate in marriage. Anybody? Milka? Milka, are you there?
So my network is letting me down. I can hear bits and pieces.
Have you had to negotiate in your marriage at all, Milka?
What challenges that they face when they're negotiating?
No, I'm saying you personally. When have you had to negotiate in your marriage?
In my marriage? Oh my goodness. We began at the wedding, how many flower girls I could have. Whether or not you could invite all my relatives. So yes, we did reach some kind of compromise. Yes, and we had to give in some and take others. Yeah, but always coming from a point of view, understanding where the other person is coming from. I have another example. When I was invited for a job interview, and I gave them my terms. I said, these are my non-negotiables, and they were that I would only work if I was able to work from home and come into the office only when I needed to sign documents or whatever. And I thought they would surely not give me the job. I got the job, and I worked there for 4 years. So I thought that was excellent learning point for me. Always put what you want up front, so everyone who's on the table knows exactly what you're looking for. So I have some examples. The challenges I face, you're scared of the no, and it might not be no. I was so sure I'd be told no when I said I want to work from home. And look now, everyone's working from home. I feel like I was a trailblazer.
But if you don't ask, you don't know, right? That's the thing. You've got to ask.
Yeah, you really do have to ask. You never know what's available on the other. You don't know what the other person's cards look like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shall I move on with the presentation?
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's hope that it doesn't let me down again. And if it does, I'll be so upset. Okay. So we've gone through that. And now go to the next page, which it has refused to do. So I'm gonna just speak to what I had in my slideshow because I can't forward it. So I hope you all watched the video, and since I can't see, I'm gonna assume you did. Yeah, I'm not gonna share my screen again now. It's throwing me out.
No problem.
Yeah. So there were 3 key concepts that were being communicated in the video. And the first one was understanding yourself, what you would like to come away from this negotiation with. And this builds from the 3 other modules that we have gone through. And that's sorry, from courageous leadership, where you know what your mission is, and from communication, you know what your why is, and you're able to communicate it with clarity and with persuasiveness. So understand yourself, your goals, your interests, and your strengths and your weaknesses, and know what you want to come away with and where you will draw the line and say, no, and we're not going there. I'm not giving up on this point. That was the first point the professor spoke about. And the second point was understanding what the other person whom you're negotiating with, and who is this person who can help you achieve your goal, and what are their objectives? Because you can't just go in saying I want. You have to understand how to make what you want appear attractive to them, so that they also want to achieve. So you're pulling in the same direction. How can you bring them round? And how are they blocking you? And make it clear to them how what they're doing is making it difficult for you to achieve your objectives. And the last part she talked about was understanding, and really understanding is part of what I was saying, others, how to appeal to other people, and how to make what you want interesting to them. What are their interests? Listen to understand what they're saying. Practice active listening, so that even as they raise objections to what you're asking for, you're able to understand what the underlying issues are, and you're able to see how you can change your ask to look like something that they would like to take on. I think those are 3 things that she asked us to look at. And the thing that this module would like you to achieve is to help you to be able to effectively negotiate for yourself and for others, because in many cases, as you go up in the hierarchy, you'll be negotiating for others as well as for yourself. So how you can make your voice heard and communicate effectively when you're having a negotiation. People think that negotiating could be difficult because you think, oh, I don't know how to do negotiation, yet we are doing it every day with our children, or for those who are not married, with your parents, when you first wanted to go out to a dance, when you went for your first date. Of course, there were times when you had to negotiate with your parents, with your workmates, if you would like someone to take you for lunch, I don't know. I mean, so it's if you're sharing stuff in the office, how to share it out, we're always negotiating. So if we can improve how we negotiate and understand where the other person is coming from, we are better able to achieve our objectives. And to always remember that no deal is also a deal, and you can always walk away from the negotiation. I like one of the things I read about JFK. It said you cannot negotiate with somebody who says what's mine is mine and what's yours is negotiable. We can't negotiate with someone with that kind of mindset. So always be ready to say, I'm not interested in proceeding with this conversation because it's not a win-win conversation. I'm not likely to get what I need. So keep an open mind always. Don't make things look like they're big elephants. You can break down the issues into smaller issues to the person you're negotiating with, so they're able to understand where we are coming from. And if you keep the issues simple, people are more willing, to come to the table to have a discussion. So the key messages we have here, I've spoken about you, I've spoken about considering your own strengths and always understanding what they are and what value you bring to the table, so that you're not putting yourself down in a negotiation. And avoid being intransigent, as in you cannot change, as in I'm coming this with only this point of view, I'm not going to give in on anything. So now I think we would like to look at some role plays. I hope I'm not moved too quickly. I'm just looking at the screen now.
That's perfect. Let's do some role plays.
Yeah. So I think we begin with yours, Val?
Yeah, we start with myself and Katlego. You want to turn your camera on, Katlego? Katlego, I'm happy to see you today. Would you like to come to the office? It's time for your KPI.
You're on mute.
Yes, I'll follow you.
Thank you. So Katlego, thanks for joining me today. Look, I think that it's been a tough quarter for you. Just looking at some of the results in terms of the sales, I'm not really that happy with your performance, and I'm not sure that I can give you a good rating for this performance and for this KPI.
Please elaborate, Val, because I'm of the view that I've done very well and I've improved in the last quarter.
You know, like I haven't seen it. Like, I don't know how you can think you've improved. To me, the sales are like the same as what they were last quarter. I don't see any major improvement. Where do you think you've improved?
My turnaround, for one, has improved because I think I've got my numbers higher, right? I'm able to reach more people. The target that you have set, I reach it nearly every day. So I personally don't agree with what you're saying. Do you have anything tangible to show that I've not reached my target?
Look, Katlego, I just got to be, sometimes you just don't, you're not very happy in the office, you don't bring a high energy, I really just don't think that this has been a good quarter for you. I think I'm going to give you a below rating for this quarter.
Like I said, thank you. However, I don't agree with you. Can I speak to somebody else perhaps who can sit in and just really go through what you're valuing me on, because I don't. Pardon?
Why would you want to bring someone else in? It's just
because I don't agree with you, and I feel like you're just it's not an accurate description that you're giving me. I don't think you're being fair.
But
I really am of the view that I've improved.
But as your manager, like if I decide that that's the thing, that's the way it is, and so I'm sorry, I just can't give you a better rating this quarter.
Well, thank you for your feedback, Val, but I will be taking this up with management.
Thank you, Katlego. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Wow. Wow. Was there a U in that? All right, you can't see my video.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, ladies.
Thanks.
Very stubborn.
On both ends.
Any comments from the rest? Any comments?
I think as an employee, sometimes, you know, you have to stand up for yourself the way that Cohort did, because sometimes, you know, the employers, sometimes they take advantage. Like they can just bring anything to you and you must take it. But I like the way that she came across being assertive to say that, you know what, from my own experience, I've been performing. Show me where I've been lacking. I like that. Quite impressive. That was a good one.
Thanks, Lerato. Anyone else?
Esther's hand is up.
Yeah.
Yes, Esther.
Yeah, thanks. Well played there. But I think as well, management did not show any sympathy or kind of try to be in the shoes of Katlego. And that's not how you want to retain and you want to motivate your people. So it came through like she's a shrewd manager. And show me or else, you know, and I don't think she's worried about losing that individual. So yeah, that part of understanding was not there and putting yourself in the shoes of your own employee and wanting to listen, you know. There was more cutting before Katlego could finish whatever he was to say. We just jump and say, look, why do you want to bring somebody else there? So it was more hostile. Thank you.
Thanks, Esther. No other hands. So shall we do the other one? The other role play? Esther.
Thank you. It will be myself and Lerato. Okay, thank you, Lerato. Before we start, I must make a disclaimer here and say, Lerato was the first person that I called in the group and she just said, yes, let's do it. So thanks, Lerato, for being that courageous. It's quite exciting that you just volunteered within a second. All right, so Lerato, good afternoon and thank you for honoring our appointment. I know it is that time where we talk about our salary increases and having one-on-ones with my team. So please have a seat. Would you like some water or would you like some coffee? I can organize coffee for you or water. Lerato, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Water will do.
Okay, great. I'm getting water. Thank you, Lerato. Okay, here's water for you. Yeah, so how's family? How are the kids and how are everybody else holding up?
I can't really complain, but you know, because of this COVID, so much has happened, especially now with my husband. You know, last year he got retrenched. So 2 months down the line, you know, he got another job, although he didn't get what he anticipated, what he was earning. But for the sake of the family, he took that job. So it brought a little bit strain to our family, but we're surviving.
Yeah.
But that's also things that I wanted to see you.
Okay, sorry about your husband, the situations that you're going through. Yeah, but what can we say? Yeah, I'm all ears, Lerato. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for seeing me in such short notice. So what I can say, you know, I've been with the company for 3 years and every month I've been reaching my target, you know, and even exceeding my target. You know, I've been loyal to this company. As I just mentioned now, like I'm having family problems now where my husband got a salary cut. This really is impacting on our livelihood, as you also mentioned to me, like to 2 months back to say that I look a little bit down, although, you know, I'm trying my best to make sure that, you know, the company first, I reach my target, but I've come to a place where that I find it's really hard, you know, even if I'm still performing, but I find it that, you know, times are tough and I need to have some change. That's why I requested this meeting so that, you know, we can talk about my future here in this company, especially now, based on the things that I mentioned. So I'm humbly requesting a salary increase, you know, of 10%. Really, I know that things are tough for everyone, even the company, we're going through a lot now. But I'm just looking at my situation that, you know, I've been loyal, I've been performing, I've been going out of my way to make sure that I perform my job. But now I feel like, no, it's too much now. So that's why I wanted us to have this chat, especially on my future here and my salary increase.
Okay, now I hear what you're saying, Rato, and I think one thing that we're agreeing on is that times are tough. You know, COVID has not been easy. And I will also reiterate the fact that the last time when we did your performance review, I said you're a stellar performer, and I'm still saying that. And we really appreciate your talent in the organization. However, as you know, our sales have dropped, our customers have closed door. And really, also with the roadshow that I did last time to share the financials to the whole organization, things have not been going very well. However, do you have any other options that you want us to work on other than putting a double-digit salary increase? Just to hear, what are your other thoughts?
From my side, you know, maybe we can increase my commission instead of getting 2%. Maybe we can increase to 4%, 4 to 5%. That's what I'm looking at. Or it can be a flat rate from my salary. I don't know. I'm asking from your side, you know, as head of HR, you know the company situation better than I am.
Okay, no, but thanks for, I can see that you really thought through the situation and you want both the company to survive and you also want to have a career. Here's what I want to propose for us. I'm going to put a few options on the table. One, let me certainly say 10% at the moment we cannot afford immediately. However, as you know, the economy is changing up and down. We can stagger a single digit, double digit, I'm not going to be able to even motivate that. But if we agree on something like, say, for example, a 7% or so, 3.5% in year one, so we do a 2-year deal, and 3.7% in the following year. And what I can guarantee you is that we took a very serious stand as management to say we will not retrench our employees. At least we want people to have jobs. But we want our employees to work with us and understand that we're not going to cut their benefits as well, but we're going to stagger our salary increases. And if we make a little bit of bonus, there will be something for everyone in there. But also what I want to throw on the table, as you know, we did not do training a lot because most people have been working from home, and you've always wanted to go to Harvard. So to the Kennedy School of Leadership. So I'm pleased to say that I'm happy that if we work your time, we work an arrangement, you can enroll on it because we've paid this money to the Department of Labor and there will be no return of the money coming back from skills development. So why not use that money? If you want to go, we're more than happy to say you can take the opportunity. And then at least you can make sure that your career has been looked after, you'll be able to study, but you need to come up to a compromise in terms of how you're going to do your time, how you're going to bring your sales, and how you're going to continue working together. And at least we can give you 3.5% and you can stagger it in 2 years. I think that sounds like a good deal.
Okay, that's very fantastic. You know, it's always been my dream to study at Harvard. I'll be happy with that. On the 3.5, I can say I don't appreciate, as you mentioned also, that companies are going through a lot now, especially because of COVID, and also because some companies, the doors have closed down. So 3.5%, I can work on that because anyway, I saved some of my monies to go and study at Harvard. But if the company is paying for me, I'm happy with it, that I can use the money to do other things at the house. I'm very happy about that.
Thank you, Lerato, and congratulations. We are looking at you coming to JF Kennedy and to come and share and plow back with the organization. And thank you for understanding.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. That's us.
Thank you, ladies. That was excellent. There was a running commentary in the chat, but any comments on that chat? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we
My
can.
screen is frozen.
Yes, should we nominate someone? Manisi, what did you think of that one?
I thought it was good, and I felt like Relata came prepared. She knew what she wanted, and she knew exactly how to convey what she wanted. And she did not just give up easily, but she persisted and negotiated with her employer as well.
Mbadi says, what a dream negotiation. I want her as my boss. Yes, absolutely. Anyone else? Emily? Clau?
Val, sorry, I was thrown out.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Clau.
Hi, did you say Emily? Is it me?
I asked both of you, but you can both speak if you don't mind. Clau,
I shared it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Emily.
Okay. So yeah, so my name is Emily. I think I'm the visitor here. I really like the negotiations. I think both role plays. I think before you go for any negotiation, I think one of the very, very important things is to really know what you want and to be able to articulate it very clearly, without in a sense feeling like, am I coming too strongly? But just being able to articulate it respectfully, but exactly very strongly, even in instances where the person you're negotiating with, you can sense they don't agree with what you're saying, or it's not in line with, their thought process, that is still just, you're just insistent to persistently continue negotiating or explaining your position. And in a sense, actually being able to understand the other person, where they're coming from. So I've seen both of those in the two role plays. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I think if that's the way we actually negotiate in the real world, you guys are up to great things. So well done. I think you're doing very well. If you're able to actually achieve that, imagine this is someone negotiating for a pay rise, another person negotiating a disagreement around their performance. Those are not easy things. And especially for us ladies, sometimes it's easy to back down. It's easy, you're told there's COVID, and so you're like, okay, that's fine. Then, you rest your case, or you're told your performance is bad and you take it as it is without putting up a fight. So well done. I think the ladies have done very well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment to what Emily has said? And those are very valid points, Emily. But also what you must remember is that as girl child, we were taught from an early age as girl children to be submissive. And sometimes as Africans, there's another cultural issue there where we're encouraging you as you grow to be assertive, but yet as we're still young, we're told that you should not talk back. Actually, it's where we need to draw the line between a child who talks back, who's arrogant, and a child who's taught how to say no, but in a respectful way, but also continue to display that level of confidence, which is also what we are not taught at schools, or we don't even teach our girl children also at schools. And when they come into corporate, or when they have to come and fight for their own space, whether as business women or as corporate people, they are always falling back into the childhood mentality that says, in the subconscious mind, I've been told to be submissive. So yeah, so it is that's this journey that we are working. And also I must also say that what I've also experienced is that it's how you start with the negotiations. Let's take Val's role and my role. Val as this hard boss, like from the very beginning, she was like, this is it. So you can see that it has pre-prepared, preconceived mind that says, I'm not gonna budge on this one. Because of that, the intro part, it can actually make or break a difficult or a simple negotiation. And I'm just sharing my experience and my observation that sometimes you can tone down even the hardest union or the hardest negotiator by trying to understand and trying to be toned down and ask someone about their family, ask someone about their pet, got to know your staff and know that she loves her cat so much, or she stays with the grandmother, which is what helps people to say, oh, there's even a human behind this woman. So then we can start talking. And then they also come down to a level of understanding because you have shown that you do know them and you care about them. Thanks, Val. Thanks, Milka.
Thanks, Esther. That's a great contribution. Anybody else who has? Oh, so we should go ahead. Let me introduce our. You've heard her speak as well already. She's an inspiring lady. Her name is Emily Mcharo. She's a co-founder and financial advisor at Savo City, a leading real estate investment company in Kenya. She is a financial independence ambassador, and I hope that you all know what that means. We'll ask her if you don't. She's an economist, a certified public accountant, and a chartered financial analyst. She is passionate about enabling investors attain financial independence. She leverages her training as a CFA, CPA, and extensive experience in the banking industry. Having attained financial independence through investing in the last 15 years, she believes that this goal is achievable for everyone. In addition, through formal workshops, presentations, and one-on-one meetings with investors, she shares her personal journey to provide investors with practical ways to start investing. I'm very proud to introduce you all to Emily Mcharo. Emily, you can now take the podium.
Thank you, ladies, and thanks, Milka. Yeah, so that's me. Interestingly, I'm in hospital, but we'll try and do this. So I'm actually using my phone, but I hope it will be clear. I hope we won't have any internet issues. Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Milka, but perhaps just briefly, yes, I'm married to one Mr. Mcharo. Sometimes people find it hard to pronounce that word. I have two boys. One is turning 20 today, or just turned 20 today, while the other one is 17. I have worked in different places. I started out in Kenya Shell, which is now Vivo, an oil company, and then I have been in the banking industry for many years. And now I run Savo together with my husband, a real estate company. So many instances, opportunities to negotiate. Negotiation is actually what you do on a daily basis. Like everything you're doing, you're negotiating, either with yourself or you're negotiating with your employer, as we have seen here. You're negotiating with your parents, you're negotiating with your husband or children. So everything in life is literally a negotiation. So when Milka asked me if I could do this, of course, I wasn't too sure what angle, but I would like to take my story as an example. Just who am I? What have I done? What are some of the instances where I have had excellent negotiations that have worked well for both parties, and where have we had flops? And those have been many, especially because I work with my husband. I don't negotiate with him just as my husband, but I do negotiate with him a lot from the work front. So many instances where I've had to negotiate with him, and and it's been easy to say, you know, let him have his way, or I'm not able to deal with this as a woman, but I've been able to just stand firm, and where I think I have a differing opinion, especially for the business, I've been able to just find ways, learn ways to actually negotiate with him. It wasn't easy at the beginning on the business front, but over time that has gotten better. Yeah, so perhaps just, I mean, I'll just start with, in the days when I was working, and I'm just going to pick a few instances here and there to hopefully, you know, share with you ladies and see if there are any lessons you can pick from that. The first example I'm going to share with you guys is when I was working in Stanbic. Milka has just said, I've done economics, I've done CPA, and I've done CFA. So as part of my undergrad, I did economics and CFA like at the same time. And then when I was working for Stanbic in the earlier days, Stanbic Bank, you guys know it as Standard Bank in South Africa, I was doing CFA. You know, that's the Chartered Financial Analyst course. And for some reason, CFA is very difficult. It takes a lot of your time. And I was working, I think the bank, there was a merger going on between our bank and another bank. So I was extremely busy. It got to a place where my son, the second born, was struggling in school because he wasn't seeing his mother. I was busy at work. I would go home very late. I'd wake up very early to read, and then leave early to go to work. So it just became like a very difficult season for him, and he started struggling in school. So we took him to see a counselor, and the counselor told him to just, in a sense, draw the people in his life. And when he drew the people in his life, he drew his brother, his father, and a friend from school. But he didn't draw his mother because I was literally absent from his life. So that was very painful. And I remember immediately after leaving the counselor, being called to be told I need to go to the bank, and it was a Saturday, to go and meet the auditors. And I felt like I had no choice, and I actually went. And that was hard. That was hard for my husband, especially because he's thinking, you've not been here, your son is affected, and here you are going back to work. So I went to work on Saturday, but on Monday, I had made up my mind that I was going to resign. I think just because of the pain of you know, this is your child. He can't, you know, you're not in his mind when he's thinking about the people in his life. You're not in his mind. So I went to my boss, and I was going to have a very tough conversation because performance-wise, I was excellent. I was an excellent performer. I mean, I think I added a lot of value to the bank, but my family was paying for it. So I met my boss, sat down with her, and started negotiating. I think that was a serious negotiation there. And she kept telling me, Emily, you don't have to resign because your family is struggling. You can run your family and still be able to work, but you do not have to resign. Thank God that it was a lady. But I just put my foot down and said, it's not going to continue working this way. If it's going to be like this way, I'm doing a lot of hours in the bank. My family will suffer, so I'd rather just leave. And you know, in the bank, you'll be told, no, we'll reduce your hours, we'll do X, Y, Z. But I was just like, yeah, you'll say that, but it's not gonna work because I understand the volume of work. So I just put my foot down, and I knew, you know, life was gonna be hard without a job, but my family came first. And I don't know, because of who I was and the contribution I had in the bank, the lady told me that she was gonna create a new role, a totally new role that wasn't there, that I would take it up. And because it's a new role that I'm creating myself, I'd in a sense be able to set it up, determine the terms, determine my working hours, and it would be a win-win. And that's what she did. And it was a win-win for both of us. For me, I think therein I started learning, you can actually put your foot down, understand where the other person is coming from, but be very clear in what you want, even if you're coming from a place of pain, and you'll actually get what you want. So that for me was the very first big lesson, I think, as an employee, to see you can actually get what you want. And I think Milka just talked about her, you know, negotiating to work from home. Milka, that was bold. I think that was very courageous. And I know the bank you're talking about. So that was very courageous. And you actually got what you wanted. So I think the fear of saying it's not possible, it's not been done, it's not the done thing. I think, ladies, it's actually possible to actually ask for what you want. So long as I think it's always important to demonstrate value to the other person, right? So if you're able to demonstrate value to the other person, it's a lot easier for you to get what you want, because then it ends up being a win-win for both of you. Yeah. Milka, I don't know whether I should just keep on and on until I finish. Yeah, so I could share the second example.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just keep at it. Okay, I hope I'm in the spirit. The second one, so still in Stanbic. So Stanbic wants to open a bank in South Sudan. I hope we know South Sudan, right? South Sudan is not too far from Kenya. It's about an hour, I think an hour, 30 minutes flight. I mean, it's just coming from more, and the bank wants to continue. The bank wants to set a branch there. And of course, it has to send people. And amongst the finance team, the CFO looked and said, I think Emily is the best person to go and set up this branch. So somebody else was supposed to go and do it from finance, who was a little, perhaps, sort of, I don't want to say junior, but yeah, someone who was working with me previously. But the CFO said, no, they don't trust them. They want me to go and start the bank. Remember, I have just come from a season where my son is struggling in school. They're still young. They're about 11. Yeah, I think about 11 or so there then. And I discussed with my husband, and we didn't take it serious. We were like, no, you can't go to Juba. So what we decided is, because we don't want you to go to Juba, you're going to tell the bank that for you to go to Juba, the bank has to pay for you flights to come back to Kenya every Friday. Again, something that in our eyes looked impossible. It just looked like it's not possible for the bank to pay for me flights to come back to Kenya every Friday and go back every Monday. Yeah, so in our heads, that was our way of saying no. I think we were negotiating from a place of fear. I remember, Milka, you said that, don't negotiate from a place of fear. So we're negotiating from a place of fear because I was scared. I was saying, if I outrightly say no, I might be, there's that fear. What if you're told, you don't have your job? Or that happens in Kenya. It does happen. If you refuse to take an opportunity, things might not go so well for you. So I was negotiating from a place of fear. So what I laid on the table was not what I wanted. In fact, my prayer was that they would just say, the bank can't do that. So yeah, we have to look for somebody else to go to Juba. So I have not outrightly said no, but yet again, I haven't said yes. So that wasn't a good negotiation, in my opinion, because the bank agreed. Yeah, so the bank agreed to take me to Juba. They agreed to pay for me tickets to come back every Friday. Only me, out of a team of like about 20 people. The rest of the guys were supposed to be coming back like once a quarter. Yeah, but the bank agreed for me to come back every Friday. So what do you do? What in such a situation, what do you do? Do you go back and say no? Sort of come up with another reason? But I think that was bad for me because I negotiated from a place of fear. If I wasn't scared that I would lose my job, I think I would have started it. I would have negotiated from, perhaps a different angle, more convinced of what I wanted. But if you go to a negotiating table and you're starting from a place of fear and what you're putting on the table is not really what you want, I think you fail even before you start. So I think for me, that's an example of negotiation that didn't go very well. I hope we are able to pick some lessons from there as well. Yeah, so I went to Juba. Then at some point, I left Stanbic and started a bank again in Juba, and then worked in the bank in Juba for a while. I think for about 3 years. This was a totally new bank, and thankfully things went well. However, sorry guys. Sorry, I'm just saying bye to someone. So, however, in this new bank, after 3 years, I really wanted to come back home. I think, Milka, you've talked about how we believe in financial independence, how we believe, it's very important that even as you work, you're investing, you have some passive cash flows, and that gives you opportunities. That gives you actually options. So if you're working for someone and perhaps you're not happy and you want to leave, or you want something, like in my case, I didn't want to go to Juba, but I was scared of losing a job. But if you have an option, like if I didn't have this job, I have an option for something else, it becomes easier. And that gives you a lot of more power to actually be who you are and ask for what you want, because you have another plan. Yeah. So over the years, as I was working, we were investing with my husband, and our intention was that by the time I'm 40, right now I'm 42, by the time I'm 40, we would be financially independent. And what financially independent means is that we'll be able to have sufficient passive cash flows from our investments to finance our lifestyle or finance our purpose. So over the years, we're working towards that. So when I was now working in this bank in Juba, it got to a place where we had attained our financial independence. So I really didn't need to work, and I didn't want to continue working there. So I was ready to come back home, and and start a business with Mr. Mcharo. But I mean, that's not an easy decision, to leave employment, to start a business, a new business, and a new business where you're working with your husband. That's not easy. I mean, and you have to think through those, all the pros and cons in your head. What if it doesn't work? And a lot of times, like in my case, I don't know whether that applies to many ladies. If you're actually exiting employment, many people will tell you that you're making a wrong decision. Many people will tell you that's not the right move. They'll tell you, things will not work out. Business will not work out. Some people will actually tell you, don't trust your husband. You're here, he respects you because you earn an income. Once you go, they'll stop respecting you. You'll be told very many things. But it was so important for me that I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to come and start a business. And because I'd attained financial independence, to enable other people to actually achieve financial independence. So that was a lot of negotiation. I think first with myself, to get to a place where I was comfortable with that. And then second, to actually negotiate with my boss at the time, who, perhaps didn't believe that was a good idea. She was one of the people who said, no, the business won't work out, all those things. So, and yet again, you don't want to burn bridges, because it's wrong to burn bridges. You want to be able to live, but live well. Yeah, because tomorrow you might need these people, or they might need you. So don't burn bridges. So just being able to negotiate my way out of that, even in terms of when do I stop coming to Juba? When do I hand over? When do I get a replacement? All those things, those are not easy things, yeah? But being able to understand, for me, for example, I was able to understand what the business needed, and it wasn't going to be a good thing if I just said I'm leaving and day one I left, but gave the bank a whole year to say, I'll be here, and by end of December, I will have left. Yeah. So that gives the bank time to even plan, because you appreciate where the bank is coming from as well. Yeah. So being able to actually, as you said previously, understand the other person's interest and negotiate in such a way that you end up with a win-win for yourself, that the bank is able to release you well, but in that time you have hired a new person, you have trained, you've done what you needed to do. And then by the time you're leaving, people are actually happy to let you go, and they remain your friends, they remain in your network, they remain your support system. They just remain people who you can turn to as either friends or colleagues or whatever it is, whatever relationship you have with them. Yeah, so I think that was another season where I really needed to negotiate this. With my husband, it wasn't hard because he's the one who really wanted me to sort of like join him and start the business. But yeah, so that's one other area. Now in Savo, that's where I have learned negotiation. First, we are in a real estate sort of business. And at the beginning, we had no track record. So you started a company, and I have to let me use Valerie as an example. I have to meet Valerie and convince Valerie to invest with us. And we don't have a track record. I can't show Valerie, this is what we've done in the past. But I need to be able to convince Valerie that this is actually a brilliant idea, this is a good idea, and come and invest with us. Knowing Valerie's fears, was very important for us. Like if you're talking to somebody, understand the person's fears, understand where they're coming from, and try and sort of like, mitigate those fears, or try and explain to them what you're gonna do to mitigate the fears they have, and start selling. So selling was, for me, selling in our current business has been the biggest opportunity for negotiation. Yeah, but it's just really understanding what value am I adding to the other person. What concerns does the other person have? And again, to always remember, it's not about me. Even when I'm negotiating with someone, the other person is very interested in themselves. So I need to be able to understand the other person. I need to be able to understand their interests so that I'm not there. Oops, sorry guys. Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Emily.
Okay. You can hear me. I think it's just the video that has gone off. Okay. So what was I saying? So if you're negotiating with someone, like if you're selling, it's not about you, but it's about you understanding the other person and showing the other person what value you're going to give, to them in their life. Yeah. So that's very important. And in our business, that has been very, very important. I think the other thing in our business that I have learned even in my negotiations, is negotiating with my husband. Because sometimes you want to negotiate with someone and you all see the world from different perspectives. He is the entrepreneur. He is the risk taker. I am very risk averse. So it's like North Pole and South Pole, and we need to meet somewhere. We need to sort of like meet midway. And yet again, I can't just say I don't agree. The way ladies sometimes you say my gut feeling. In business, you can't say gut feeling. I mean, like that's not even allowed. Yes, you can be led by your gut feeling, but find out information, get data, get supporting information. So by the time you're going to negotiate with someone, don't go empty-handed. Don't go and say, I don't agree with you. Okay, what's the basis? Don't say, I don't feel like that's a good decision. No, it's not feeling, it's not emotions. It's just what's the data, what are your reasons for thinking this is not a good idea? So I think for me, even negotiating with my husband, because that I do daily, especially when he sees these grand opportunities and I'm like, not good for the business, I just take time and say, okay, why does he think this is a good opportunity? Literally take an Excel spreadsheet and write from his perspective. It is a good opportunity for the following reasons, according to him. So I actually understand where he's coming from. Then I look on this other side. In my view, it is not a good opportunity for the following reasons. So by the time I'm going to him, I've thought through the pros and cons. I'd actually be able to articulate for him why he thinks it's a good idea. And therefore, after I do that, he actually feels understood. He feels I have taken his interests at heart. And by the time I'm bringing my side of a story, we're on the same page. And so it becomes very easy for us to sort of like end up with a good decision. Some decisions we've had to discuss and dropped them. Some we have said, okay, so these are the risks. How do we mitigate the risks? So again, data, facts, not feelings, but just data and cold facts. And then you're able to negotiate, especially if you're negotiating with men. That's very critical. You can't negotiate with a man from a point of emotions or gut feeling or something tells me, no, you just have to have your facts. I think I've talked a lot. Have I done my 20 minutes or I've gone beyond? Maybe I was just enjoying myself. But it's my prayer that as ladies, we've picked one or two things. It's very hard to say everything about my life, but my life has been a negotiation every step of the way. But I really like the last part. Don't go empty-handed when you're negotiating with someone. Know what you want. Try to sort of project what they would want, what's their interest, or where are they coming from. Try and really internalize that from their perspective, and then internalize what you also want. Then it's easier for you to actually put up a front. And it's possible to end up with a win-win situation. I don't think sometimes compromise is the best. You can actually end up with a win-win situation. And what's his name? The writer of 7 Habits. He says, he says, look for the third alternative. It doesn't have to be either A or B. Don't start with a position and stick to your position and say, this is my position. it becomes very hard. But is there a third alternative that's actually a win-win for both of you? And that's possible. Yeah. So thanks, ladies. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was so inspiring. Thank you so much. Ladies, anyone with questions for Emily?
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yes, please.
I'm trying to know, like you mentioned there are two things actually that I'd like to ask you. One is negotiating with men versus negotiating with women. I'd love to know your experience of how to if there's a different way of handling those two. And then secondly, I'd love to ask you, from a financial person to a salesperson, it takes such a different change in mindset. How did you overcome that? How did you overcome that and learn those skills?
Okay. So negotiating with men, I think men are very factual. Men are extremely data driven. You need to be, and then you need to be crisp. With a man, you can't fumble. You can't be sort of thinking as you're speaking. You need to have thought through and have clarity and just be very crisp in your arguments with data. They respect that better, I think. They respect that. They can relate with that. Men can't relate with emotions. They can't relate with feelings. They can't relate with gut feelings. Yeah. Ladies, I can have a conversation with you, Valerie, and you'll get me, even if it's more emotions than data. You'll get me, and we'll be able to perhaps get somewhere. But increasingly, even ladies, especially in leadership, are becoming very, very fact driven. Yeah. So if you're transitioning and you're working with a lady, I think it will do a bit of justice to go to them as if you're still talking to a man. So with your facts, yes, that's what I think about that. The transition was difficult. The transition was difficult. I remember I'd tell my husband when I wasn't, convinced to actually join the business, I'd tell him, my brain will die. I'm used to complicated numbers. I'm used to, hard mathematical issues to handle, or financial projections. Milka, dealing with derivatives in the bank. What are derivatives in a real estate company? So that was hard. But when I came in, I was able to see the opportunity was actually in sales. I think that's where the sales is the man in the middle. I think if you can't sell, you can't run a business. It's impossible to to run a business without being able to sell. And I started reading. I started reading about sales. I started reading about negotiation. I just started reading, and I had never ever gone for a client's meeting in the bank. Like, I'd tell my boss, I want to attend a client's call, and like, Emily, no, stay behind the desk. But in the business, I had to gather the courage and start. And when I was able to do the first sell, that gave me confidence. Then I did the second. And then at some point, I was the best salesperson in the business. I don't sell anymore. I train people more now. Yeah. I think just being open to learn. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to add to that, I have been to one of Emily's sales meetings. She comes with facts. She comes with hard facts, and she comes and she tells you this is how it is, and you can corroborate what she's telling you, so you don't feel like she's trying to pull wool over your eyes. So I think your past helped you to become a good salesperson.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Hi, Emily. I'm actually voted under the chat, but I'll just ask it. I just wanted to find out, how does one overcome negotiating from a place of fear?
Okay. How does one overcome negotiating from a place of fear? I'll ask Milka to help, but I'll say 2 points. One, I think what you do before you go to the negotiating table. So having your facts, knowing exactly what you're going to negotiate. So you're not waiting for the other person to throw punches at you. You already know the facts around whatever it is you're negotiating. I think that always helps, being prepared. I think the other thing I'd say, I think having options, like going to a negotiating table, but knowing that even if this does not pan out the way I had wanted, I have another option. For example, I just said when I was in the bank and I was going to Juba, because I was negotiating from a place of fear, I didn't have another option. I was scared, what if I lose this job? So if I already go with that fear in my head, it becomes a lose-lose situation. But because over time I built my sources of income, the second time I was negotiating to exit the bank, I had an option. And I've also learned that even if you're not exiting an employment, but there's something that your employer is doing that you're not happy about, if you know you have a plan B, you will be candid enough to even tell them that I'm not happy with the direction the business is going. I think we can do something different. And immediately you do that, I actually think you thrive better in that organization because you were not scared. Yeah. So I think preparation in advance and actually knowing that you have another option. Yeah. For me, those two reasons would help. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything to add. I'm just believing in yourself, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Wow, your delivery was so powerful. They've been silent.
Why are you in hospital? Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm okay. My sister just got a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us from hospital. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Wilka. Thank you. Okay.
Director, you had a question?
For me, it was not a question per se. I wanted to say that was very powerful. And I've something which is something that I've observed to say that men are factual. When you go to them and negotiate, you must have your facts to the table. Not that you must still be thinking about what you want to say. I think that's very much true, and I like that. And powerful speech that you forth.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. We're really grateful. Bali says definitely having options helps to not negotiate from a place of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, Bali.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Great. Emily, we're about to go into our discussion with the girls about the concepts we have learned. You are very welcome to stay on. But knowing where you are, maybe you don't. You're very welcome to stay on it.
I will request that I just go and check on her.
Yes, if anyone comes up with more questions, I will forward.
Yes, please do, and I'll definitely sort of either even record and send to you or just type out something. Yeah. But thank you, ladies. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I was telling Milka I need to know the Kenyan chapter. I have some ladies who I'd love for us to do this together with. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yay. We look forward to having you part of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Emily.
you. Thank you.
Lovely to
Thank
have
you very
here.
much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Allow me to leave.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
okay. All the best to your sister.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night. Will do. Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies. So we're gonna stay in this room for our circle. I think because there are only 10 of us. Oh, now we're 9. Oh, even Martha was here with Emily. We are 9. So how do we do this in a circle? So I'd like us just to give feedback on what you picked up from that conversation we had with Emily, and then you can tie it into the concepts we're trying to learn today. I invite anyone to contribute. Manasseh, today you've been very quiet, so I'm going to pick on you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think for me, what stood out from Emily is getting rid of the fear to negotiate, firstly, and also just knowing when to negotiate, the right time for you to negotiate as well, and also just during your negotiating to consider the other person that you're negotiating with. As much as you're supposed to put yourself, also consider yourself, just also consider the next person. She spoke about giving the person you're communicating with time, which shows that you're also understanding of the other person's interest, of which is something that I think we also trying to establish today, that you should show that you care and are aware for the next person's interest when negotiating, to also convince the next person why they should be investing in you, or why they should also invest whatever it is that you want in you to help you achieve your goals.
Thank you very much, Manasseh. Anyone else with something to contribute?
You touched on such an important thing there. Timing is so important in negotiation. You've got to be so, when you know it, when you're clear about what you want and what you need, choosing that right time to actually have the conversation is critical. I mean, like asking, walking to your boss's office when she's having a bad day or whatever to ask for a raise, right? Wrong timing. Asking your husband's at a bad golf game or whatever, and he comes off the course and you're like, can we go and do this? Timing is everything. Don't ever underestimate that. So the key things, being prepared and coming in at the right time, so critical.
Val, Esther here. I just want to make, Smelka, can I talk through you?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say, sometimes we always think it's only men who are difficult to negotiate with. We do find lately that women actually, they also, not actually, but some of the women can be such tough negotiators, and you working in the woman to woman and hoping that, you know what, this is a sister who may understand where I'm coming from. And you walk out of there and say, my goodness me, I thought I saw She-Devil on the movies only. What have I done so wrong? So you also need to know your audience. Back to what we learned in the previous module, that know your boss very well, know exactly who you are dealing with. And Val, to your point, if you could gauge the moment and the timing must be so right. It really pains and hurts to see how sometimes sisters themselves are actually treating other sisters during negotiations so bad, especially if you want to go and ask for something that they believe that you don't deserve to be getting that. So I'm just saying that sometimes you don't throw the baby with the bathwater, but let's not all assume that it's only thorny when you have to negotiate with men. Sometimes it can get thorny with a sister as well and rosy with a man. Just a comment. Thank you.
Yeah, so true. Thank you, Esther.
What other skills do you think you need? What other skills to negotiate well? What are the other things you need, or you have to be aware of, that we haven't talked about yet?
Can I weigh in there, Val? EQ also helps a lot. Emotional intelligence, it depends. If the other party doesn't have it, that's where you can even take that to your advantage, because you're going to be a bigger person and you draw that energy down and you actually can lead what was supposed to be, you were supposed to be led, but you can lead it easier if you know how to apply it. So I think that's another, if you can be able to deal with the EQ issues, it also helps a lot.
I think Katlego did an excellent example of that in our role play, because her boss was definitely had no EQ, but Katlego was sticking to the facts. She was staying, non-emotional. Like, she completely had read the situation and she was managing it really well, except her boss was just not going to see it. I think that was a very good example.
True.
Some other skills that you need? EQ, what else?
I think you must also strive for a win-win situation. As Esther elaborated now, how you approach the situation, it sets the tone of the negotiation. So if you humble yourself from the beginning, I think you'll have a fair play. Obviously, it depends on what is being negotiated. Sometimes, you can come and humble yourself. But if you come from an innocent side, then you're bound to have a win-win situation. I think the tone and how you start the negotiation is
so true, Lerato. But there's something else that's so important in communication that we haven't talked about.
I also think that you have to have very good listening skills, because you have to hear the unsaid. So it's not just about listening to what someone is saying, it's also reading the body language. Now with Zoom, it's difficult, but yeah, when you're face to face, you can see what's not being said.
Absolutely. Nail on the head. Active listening. Can't be underestimated. The others as well. How do you make people feel that they've been heard? What's a tool that you can use to help people feel that they've been heard?
Well, one of the ways that I use to show people that they've been heard is maybe give them a similar experience that I've encountered. That's how I usually make people feel like I understand what you're going through, and whatever it is, the issues that you faced, I've probably faced similar, but maybe not the exact same situation, but just to be able to get to a place of relating to one another. I think also that can ease the negotiating part, to give them more insight that maybe it's not just about you winning, but it's also about reaching the bigger picture.
Yes. I mean, Lerato did it beautifully. She sort of told her story. We're having a rough time. My husband, the COVID or whatever. And then Esther absolutely acknowledged that. She acknowledged exactly what she was saying. Yes, it is a rough time. And this is what, and gave her experience of that as well. So that kind of sharing of experience, it's also part of active listening. It's about making that person, whatever they're saying to you, like opening up and allowing them to see that you've heard what they're saying. And I mean, I think if you think about, political negotiations where you're trying to talk to someone like a Donald Trump who doesn't listen, how can you negotiate with someone like? You need someone who's actually going to be empathetic and someone who's actually going to be listening and acknowledging what you're saying. And as a negotiator yourself, it's such an important skill. Such an important skill. So
but also to Mbali's point, it's also putting yourself in the shoes of that individual. Be seen to be understanding where they are coming from, even if you don't. And we always hear leaders saying, let's think about this. So you talk in the plural form, let's do this one, let's think about it. So if you make it us rather than a you issue, it shows that we are co-creating and we are dealing with this together.
I think the other thing is, though, one has to probe. You can't just be like, even if you don't understand, you need to seek to understand. So keep asking, keep delving, keep, you know, as much as you, without hurting somebody or being, you know, breaking their boundaries or whatever, but keep asking and to truly understand what it is and where they're coming from. Because only once you get to that point of true understanding can you actually then meet them halfway or meet them, you know, towards their goals, I think.
Yeah, I think part of the understanding where they're coming from is like paraphrasing what they've said, so that if you put it in your own words, then they're able to see that you're actually trying to understand what they're saying, and then they become more willing to listen to what you have to say.
Can I just share a lighter moment just to break the ice? Well, one of the roles that I had in one of the parastatals, and our CEO used to say, my door is always open, guys, during the wage negotiations. And the unions will come and say, you see, Mr. Smith, that's a problem. Your door is always open, but your ears are always closed. And that's negotiating from a position of power, because they're kind of making you so angry that you're gonna start acting emotionally, and that's when they're gonna get you to do what you don't want to do. And they're gonna end up with a strike because they're using you to push you to that limit when someone says to you, your ears are closed, and you feel disrespected as a CEO, and it's exactly what. So even with negotiations, people will know, once they know your weakness or your position of weakness, they will work on it and they will thrive on that one.
Have any of the ladies had tough negotiations that they'd like to share? I'd like to hear from the mentees. Any negotiations you've had that haven't gone so well?
I'd like to share.
Please do, Katlego.
So it wasn't even a negotiation. I just failed to even come to the table altogether. So at the job I was previously working, so it was my first formal employment where I was before. And then we had like financial issues. And so because of that, I started job hunting again. And then where I'm currently working, so I was called in for an interview initially. I went in, I thought it went okay. So then I got a call from my boss, my now boss, and he said, unfortunately, I wasn't successful. So obviously then I was a bit sad, and then I thought, oh, well, we keep trying. And then I think after a few days, he called me back and then said the CFO wants to meet me instead. So just wants to chat with me for a while. So I went in again, spoke to the CEO. Didn't even last 5 minutes. To me, it looked like that's a bad sign that, I mean, you go in for an interview, it doesn't even last more than 5 minutes. But to my surprise, I was offered, obviously, then the job. The problem then comes in is prior to my previous employment, I'd actually been promoted. I think like a whole month before I'd been promoted. So what then happens is, because again, I was scared to be without employment. So whatever they offered, I just took it. I didn't tell them that, well, I just got promoted right before you came back and told me then that I'm employed, right? So I just took what they offered, and I never told them, listen, in the interim, while you guys were still unsure about me working here, I got a promotion. Can you match my new salary instead? But so they went off with what initially I was earning prior, and obviously just a little bit more, but it wasn't what I was now earning with the promotion. So I mean, it haunts me till this day. That's one of the things I regret, because now it's very difficult to go back and say, well, and can we reevaluate from my initial employment, because I failed to express what had happened before I signed on the dotted line. So I mean, oh, it's a disaster.
That's such a beautiful story, because that knowing your worth, knowing your, understanding your worth, and that talks to exactly the first principle, right? And the thing about those things, though, Katlego, is that you have to forgive yourself as well, right? When you say it haunts you, sometimes you can't let those things stay with you, because ultimately you will come back to where you were before, right? Just saying that, but also knowing your worth, going into any negotiation, knowing your worth, being very clear of what you bring to the table in any negotiation is so, so important. And that's part of that preparation, right? Knowing what you're going in for, knowing what you deserve. And I'll tell you a personal story here for me. Last year, I'd resigned from my previous role, given 4 months' notice, thinking that I'd give them lots of time to prepare. And so then in February, I'm about to leave, and I've got 2 job offers. And the one I really, really wanted. But then they made me an offer, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't deserve this. This is not, I want more. And they couldn't match it. And I walked away from the position. And guess what? COVID hits and the other offer gets frozen. And there I am, unemployed at the beginning of COVID. And it was scary. And I kept saying, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake by not taking it? And I was like, oh, did I do the wrong thing? And I mean, then I was unemployed for like 4 months, waiting during COVID. And I was the whole time questioning. And then guess what? The place that I turned down came back with a more senior role and the salary that I wanted, because I had stood up for my value system, because I knew what I was worth. And so, it comes back. At some stage it comes back. But when you don't feel valued, or when you don't, you must walk away. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. Sorry, that was a very long story, but I hope it spoke to the principles.
I'd like to chip in for Katlego. All your experiences are either opportunities to grow or opportunities to learn. So I think that was a learning opportunity. Instead of beating yourself up about it, I would think, what did I learn from this experience that I will not repeat the next time? Because you must learn from it, otherwise it was a wasted opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
Mokihana, we've not heard from you today. Mokihana, are you there?
She's not well.
Oh, she's not well?
No, she's joining us, but she's not well.
Oh,
yeah, sorry guys, I'm actually resting because I have a sleep fever right now, but I'm here.
Oh, so sorry, I didn't realize it. Sorry.
Thank you for joining us regardless. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other experiences? Livuani. How do you pronounce the name? Is it Livuani?
Yes, it's Livuani.
Yes. Can we hear from you? Have you had any experience that you'd like to share with us?
I'm so sorry. I just rejoined the group, so I'm a bit lost. I had a problem with my network, so it kicked me out, and then I just rejoined.
That's okay. We're discussing experiences we've had in the past when negotiating for something. Good ones and bad ones as well.
Oh, okay. I haven't really been in a position where I had to negotiate.
At home with your parents or with your class teacher, or if you're working with the employer, maybe you can think about it and say something later. So I think we discussed all the core skills, Val. We discussed...
Mbali's got her hand up.
Sorry. Yes, Mbali, my mistake, sorry.
Yes. With me in my current job, you find that I'm actually handling lease negotiations. So it's a tug of war, especially when you're dealing with greedy people, people who actually want a lot of money. So I don't know how I've survived for this long, but one of the ways that I do it, I think I speak in a very gracious way, and I think also my honesty comes into play, you know, because it's a matter of leasing out properties from owners and saying we want to use your property for a certain equipment and things like that, and therefore we would give you this in exchange. And you find that they compare us with all other bigger telecommunication companies. So one of the things is I do is I listen and I understand where they come from and I empathize with them, but I also come in from a place of, if you don't, I know maybe it's wrong, but if I say to them, like, if you don't take up this lease agreement for what we are willing to offer you, the thing is your next door neighbor might, you know, they might be taking it up. And one of the ways in which our management, I know it's so wrong, but she even would say, use the issue of COVID, you know, and being like, well, you know, people don't have a lot of work and there's not a lot of money. Like, there's just always ways around negotiating where you have to just try and find your way to navigate and convince the person that this is value for your money, you know. And it's very difficult, especially with lease agreements where you deal with even big corporates or trustees or body corporates, you know, where people come with different opinions and objections on things. But yeah, so at least I've survived.
Well done. Well done. Not
Yeah.
easy. Sure. Well done.
It really isn't, because sometimes you lose and sometimes you do get a good deal. But then when you've lost, it's like, yo, okay, that one was a hard one. But you learn from all of those.
So true. Each opportunity is an opportunity to learn. So
That's true.
Yeah. Anyone else with something to contribute? Manesi, do you have an example of a negotiation that you've had?
Not one that I could easily share and relate to the points here, but there was a point where I was negotiating, but at the same time I wasn't really negotiating. So I was buying a bed, right? And so it so happened that the one that I was looking for wasn't there, right? So I think this could actually go back to looking at alternative paths, whatever is there that you could explore that is different from what you wanted, that could still help you achieve the same goal. So what I did, I just asked that, okay, which other bed do you have that I could pay? And luckily, there was a bed that was available that was more expensive than the one that I was looking for, but they were willing to give it to me at the same price that I was going to spend for the cheaper one. So I don't think I really negotiated, but I was just understanding, I suppose, because when they tried to convince me to take the other bit, I just sympathized with them, like, oh, okay, that's fine. What else do you have? And then they offered me the other bed.
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Lerato, your hand was up.
I think from my side, I was working for this particular company. It's a training company. It's a business school, actually. So I studied through them. So what happened, I was doing sales. Then I moved to project management. So at sales, they used to pay us commission based on the sales that we brought in. So they were saying now the company is not doing well, therefore they can't pay us so much commission anymore. Then I decided, what's the point of being in sales if you're not earning the commission? So there was a position for project manager, which I applied for. Then I went there. But subsequent to that, what happened is that other clients, they can say that I'll be paying on a monthly basis. So they'll pay you up until the client finishes their course, or if it's a corporate, until they pay. So something along those lines. So what I did, I moved to another division. So I worked there for a year. Then after a year, because I was busy doing my studies, so I completed. So as I resigned, they told me I can't leave because I have to pay the balance. And the balance was like 70,000. So they told me I have to work for a year. So I said, there's no way that I'm going to work for a year. And really, I wanted to go to UNISA, where I am now. I said, there's no way. And I didn't want to pay the 70,000 that they said that I'm owing. And I said to them, but guys, remember when I moved to my new role, you didn't pay me the remainder of my commission. So you can take the money from there. And that time I'm talking to the CEO, they called the execs, even one of the directors, I thought he's my friend, he's on my side because we go to the same church. Even him, he turned against me because obviously he took it from the CEO. Like I fought with them. So every break that I could get, I go to the bathroom, I call my husband to say, what must I say now? This is what they're saying. I negotiated and negotiated up until they said, you know what, it's fine, you can go. We're not gonna pay you. We're not gonna pay you, what is it? We're not gonna pay you your pension. And something like that, yeah. So it had to get to that. So I had to find a legal person to assist me with that. But at the end, eventually they paid me my pension. And also I didn't pay back because it was very unfair because they didn't pay my commission. They cut it immediately. I moved to another level because they didn't want to move, but they didn't want me to move to project management. But because the manager, they wanted me there, so they didn't have a choice. They've cut my commission. Now they didn't want me to leave the company. Like it was tough. It was tough. But eventually, like I worked around that. So other employers, like they do whatever it takes to exercise the position of power. But thank God, I eventually left that company and they paid me and I finished my studies.
Wow. What did you learn, Lerato?
What I learned from there is the power of negotiation and that you must have facts because everything they were saying to me, because it's like 3 or 4 executives and imagine me, like I'm just an employee. So what I learned is that you must be prepared, number one, and have facts. So that's what helped me also to say that I had the communication. I had to dig into my old email so that I find all the proof. And, I saw that, for them, because obviously they're higher than me, even the negotiation, like it was on another level. That's why even me, I had to go to the bathroom, like ask my husband, this is what's happening, so that he can also assist me from that point of view, because it was so intense that, eventually when I left, they said, we didn't want you to leave. But I said to them, when somebody's there, you don't value the employees up until to the time when they leave. Because for me, I'm a hardworking person. Like if I'm committed, like I go 100%, only then that you want to leave. That's only when they raise their eyebrows. Oh, is she leaving? Like they were coming with excuses. Oh, I didn't know about this. You should have told me, but it's too late then. I'm leaving. You see, it didn't really matter because I really wanted to leave. But on the other hand, also, I didn't want to pay that money because they also didn't pay my commission. So we had to subset like the commission and the amount that I was owing for my studies. So what I learned is that when you negotiate, you must be prepared and have facts and have things in writing.
Lerato, you raise a very good situation, which I'd love to hear, Esther, some of your feedback on this, because you've probably dealt with it quite a lot in your situation, where the pack mentality, a group of senior execs come at you. I think I know I've also encountered it in my life, where they try and browbeat you down, and they bring their seniority and their whatever it may be. Esther, have you ever had any example of that happening with you?
Well, not to me directly, but I dealt with cases which ended up at the labor court because of exactly that. It's a scare tactic.
Yeah.
And it's so old and so out of fashion that people who still want to bargain on bad faith and they bring all of those kind of tricks actually are scared of you.
Yeah.
So from you who are sitting in Lerato's position, you should start smiling all the way to the bank, number one. Number two, we've got very good labor relations law or a basic condition of employment act law, where, for example, when Lerato said they held back her pension, I would have loved them to do that because the law does not allow them to do it. So that's when you smile and you walk away, and they're going to pay you a lot of money for doing that. So it is a tactic, it is a scare tactic, and it is because people are so scared of you. And the only thing that when they bring other people, and it's just so sad that you even lose a friend from church because of they are colluding, if there's anything that you can put it that way. So yes, it does happen, especially if people, they undermine you. They think you're just an ordinary person, but now you show them flames because you're an ordinary person, you did extraordinary thing, and you kind of scare them. And had you decided to stay on, if they say stay on, and they lure you to staying on, they're going to find a way of exiting you in a more painful way because now it's ego playing more than anything else. Yeah, that's a comment that I can make about.
And I think the tips that the things that you did, like some tips when you get into those kind of situations, like what Lerato said, make sure you're keeping record of everything. You take notes at the meetings. You make sure that you are keeping yourself up to date with everything. Keep those email correspondence, keep the whatever it may be, because ultimately that will be their downfall as well, so important.
And sort of to your point, the last part I want to mention is that reduce everything to writing. You can't tell your boss, put it in writing, but there's a nice way of doing it where after that hostile meeting, you send back an email as if you are thanking them. Just say, I want to thank you for this meeting where the following were discussed and just the above is in order. Please feel free to engage with me should you so wish. That is a powerful statement that I've seen it helping a lot when you have to go, especially if you have to go to labor court. And when you send that email, on your email, you've got that feature that says open and read. If you look onto your windows there. When you send that email, press that thing open and read. It will give you 2 ticks, which means when Val receives that email, I'm getting a note that your email have been delivered. When Val opens that email, I'm getting a note that says your email has been read. When Val deletes that email without reading it, I'm getting a note because Val's side, it will say, the reception of this email want to confirm this. And if you say no, or you delete it, as a sender, I'm going to get a note coming back that says your email was deleted without being read. So you keep record of those, you print them, you archive them. When Papa hits the fan, you can say, but Mr. Commissioner or Your Honor, I have sent the email. He did not even bother to open or read this email. It was deleted. So this is how you start building what you call a portfolio of evidence if you realize that things are going to go tough in terms of your exiting the company.
Very true.
Wow. I like the way that Lerato stood her ground. She knew her strengths. She knew what she was worth. She was not taking anything less. That is so important. And those are great tips when you have unfair people trying to put you in a corner. Thank you so much, Esther. I'm sure someone will need that information at some point. As you go up the ladder and people don't want you to go up, they will look for ways to bring you down. You must stand your ground and know what your worth is. I think that's really important. Okay, have we heard everyone's voice? Livuan, have you thought of anything?
Yes,
No.
I did.
Okay.
The only time that I remember that I came close to what we can call negotiations is when I was, because I'm still an undergraduate, so I don't know much about the work environment and what happens there. So there's a time that I was getting academically excluded. So from that point, I had to negotiate with the university so that I could come back and continue with school. But that mostly involved writing and then consulting with people that have been in a similar position as me, and people would advise me as to how to tackle the whole situation, but it never got to a point wherein I had to meet with the lecturers and the school board face to face, because I was accepted back after I sent a letter. So that's the thing that I was thinking about when it comes to negotiating.
Good example. Well done.
It takes courage, though, to send a letter. I don't know what academic exclusion means. Does that mean you were removed from the university?
Yes, I was removed from the university because I failed 3 modules. So usually you need to fail only 2, but if you fail more than that, they exclude you from the university, and then you have to appeal and write a letter and negotiate with the university, telling them why you didn't manage to, pass more than the set amount of modules that they required you to pass. And then after that, they sat down and then had deliberations and then send you back a letter. It's either they accept you or they don't. So if they don't, you have to meet up with the heads of school and then tell them face to face why they should take you back. So that's basically what an exclusion is.
That's very courageous, Yvonne, and thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable. Thank you.
All right.
I think we've all shared. I think what I'd like us to do now is maybe we can lift each other up and saying what you find admirable in the fellow cohort members. Can you shine a spotlight on someone that is in the group? I'll ask the mentees to go first. Do you need an example, perhaps? Maybe I'll ask Katleho, who has been very brave today. Katleho, can you shine a spotlight on someone who you admire in this group, a fellow mentee?
I actually have 2, but I think the one is not here today. So I admire Mbali. She's very outspoken. I like how she articulates herself. She listens. She's always part of what's happening, and she comes to the party and she engages well. And what I noticed is her and our line of thinking is not the same. So I'm always able to see a different way at looking at things. So I appreciate, because it broadens, obviously, the way I also look at things. So definitely Mbali is on my hit list.
Thank you, Katleho. That's really kind.
Thanks.
Please mention the other one as well, even though she's not here.
Matumelo definitely as well.
Why?
I like her strength. I like Matumelo's strength. I like her confidence. It's for me, it's very much definitely her confidence. And she's a go-getter. She's 1 foot in front of the other. So I definitely like her winning, what's the word? Her attitude. I just love it. Her winning attitude.
Thank you so much, Katleho, for sharing that. Lerato, your hand is up.
Yes, from my side, it has to be Katleho. Number 1, she's very assertive, and I like the way she comes across. Like she's very deliberate. That's what I like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lerato.
Bali, you had a question. I've just seen it. Was it answered by Esther? Or would you like so can you please explore how the ways in which we can build a portfolio of evidence, especially from the segment where we will have someone from HR? Was that answered when she spoke?
She gave an example of just one with the emails, but I was just wondering if there are other ways in which we could build the portfolio.
Mbali, maybe just articulate again, just repeat your question.
When you mentioned that building a portfolio of evidence in terms of like if you are put in a corner and you're able to bring up different kinds of scenarios just to defend yourself. You touched on the email part.
Yeah.
So I was wondering that if we're having, because I think Valerie once mentioned that we're going to have someone from HR in one of our talks, if maybe that person can also elaborate further on this thing, because I think it's a very sensitive topic, especially for us young girls who are entering into corporate, and we need to figure out those tools.
Well, I'll leave it to Val to see how she wants to deal with it. But all I can tell you, you are right. It's a discussion that is important to have early days in your life. It's part of your assertiveness. But amongst others, remember, you need to read your employment contract very carefully. Whenever you're getting into a new job, before you just sign, you must read that employment contract very, very carefully. Sometimes there are clauses in that contract that you are signing, you are giving away stuff that you could actually be wanting to have explanation on. i.e., the company will be saying to you that they will be expecting you to be available on your mobile or wherever, Monday to Saturday or whatever day. And you know that you are a young mom, you've got a young child, and you cannot be available as in after hours, or you cannot be able to travel to other parts of the country because they want to. If a job says you will be requested to travel, say to Mpumalanga once every 2 weeks or once a week, and you've got a little baby and you're just starting the job, that is the first part, as you had Emily talking about negotiating certain things there. You gotta put those things up front. But if your contract of employment says the company reserves the right for you to travel as and when they need you, and you have just signed, and you want to one day say, but I cannot do it, guys, I've got a little child there. Again, they'll hold back to employment contract. And those kind of things are that when they want to terminate your service and you want to go and take a matter up to the CCMA, you have actually tied your hands up a little bit. The other thing that is there is that obviously we don't encourage people to belong to unions. But if you are in a category where there are unions that are there, unions sometimes they came as a pain, but more often than not, they know the law better than the lawyers. Can you imagine when they go to the labor court, they have to stand up against someone who's got an LLB or an LLM and stuff like that. And thirdly, always approach your HR department if you're in doubt. Not all of them they know what they're doing. I must say, I must confess that one. Not all of them will give you the answer that you need. That is why networking is very, very important, and being in a position to talk to other people in other organizations that are, that you can come across there. So, and when you go to this kind of meetings, if you are in doubt, take someone with you, because it becomes your word against your line manager's word. There is no weakness in that regard. And once you go there, it's exactly what they will want. And I think you remember when was it Katleho earlier on when he was dealing with violence, say, but can I see somebody else, or can I'll still come back? You've got the right to bring a fellow employee who might not feel intimidated, let's hope, or to say that I cannot go into this thing alone, I need someone to come up with there. But more often than not, if it's only you against your line manager, believe you me, the ER manager or the labor relations manager will be on the side of the employer. Some of us lost our jobs. I remember the time when I had to choose whether I stay in this job or I tell my boss that I'm not going to sign this contract. I'm not going to agree to this 1 year, because if you do it, you are on your own. And I'm going to unfortunately have to call you in, and I'm going to put you on the witness stand, and you must explain how these persons were fired because it was irregular and it was illegal. But try as much as you can to understand the labor relation, the basic about your employment conditions. What is it that you are protected from? And then when you come to talk to these kind of things there, don't be scared to say, but according to the Basic Condition of Employment Act, it says, the company policies, we don't always read those policies. Those policies are very, very important to know them, not to memorize them, but just to know that if something goes wrong, I can refer back to the policy. I don't know if that is helping, but it's a whole discussion that you can have around this one.
What we will do is, as part of our alumni, the alumni team are constantly running workshops once you graduate that we do these kind of discussions. So look out, we will definitely be running one in the future in terms of basic conditions of employment and things to be aware of when you're signing contracts. It's on the agenda for the future. So please join that discussion when you can see.
Wow, thanks. That was deep. Lots of stuff to look out for, hey? So Mbali, since I can see you, who do you want to shine a spotlight on?
You on mute?
Oh, Valerie and Esther. I'll start with Esther. I think Esther is very knowledgeable, especially about the corporate space and giving us like advice, a lot of insight and a different perspective on things. You can tell the way she speaks that she has been in leadership positions, and she's assertive, but she's also gracious about it. So I actually really appreciate someone like that within our group. And
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then with Valerie, I think you've had to put out a lot of fires that we probably don't know about, but you're handling all of this with such grace. And I think you're doing a really good job at with our sessions. You know, even if people are missing in the act, as someone who's meant to keep it all together, I think, you know, you can be a bit disappointed, but at the same time, we're not feeling it. We still continue to move, and you're still involved even with us in these sessions. So I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. It's part of, we take the girls who want to be there, the girls who want to be here, those are the ones who will win, right? So that's the most important.
Manesi? Thank you so much, Mbali.
I want to shine spotlight on Katejo and Mbali again. I just really admire their consistency throughout the cohort. It's been very great. That is what I really liked about them.
Thank you, Manesi.
Thank you. We appreciate you too.
If one of your hands up.
I lost my network at some point, but I'd like to shine a light on, I'll just talk about just one person, on Esther, because one thing that I've noticed is that she's very knowledgeable and informative. She speaks from experience, and her voice just automatically pulls me to listen to her and, you know, just want to hear her more.
Thank you, Livu. You want to make me cry. Thank you, Livu.
Milka, are you there?
Thank you so much, Livwani. I've come back. I don't know what's happening today. I think maybe I can ask Esther to shine a spotlight on someone.
Okay, thank you. All the ladies are fantastic, but I'll put a spotlight on again, as I said, Lerato, just like she just did it for me. As you remember, Milka, last time when you met for the prep, we were saying, oh, who's gonna be the partners? And Val said, you go into your group, you get one of the mentees. And I'm glad to see that the mentees are getting confidence now, you know? And I just went into the mentees and I just spotted on Lerato. She didn't say to me, Esther, I'll come back to you. I gave a background. In 2 seconds, she just thought through and said, you know what? Let's just do it, you know? We'll talk about it. I'm so busy with this and that, but I promise you we'll do it. And we never even rehearsed our speech to tell you. We just spoke 5 minutes before the thing started, but we had some guideline and she really did exceptionally well. And also I'm seeing a lot of confidence coming from all the ladies. I'm so happy and I'm so proud and I'm loving that. I wish we could be having daily discussions because I can tell you by the time we finish this cohort, you will be so on top of your game. Thank you, ladies. You are all stars. Thank you, Milka. And to Val, by the way, who doesn't give up. You know, I sent Val stupid questions and she just have every answer to my stupid questions. Thank you, Val.
No stupid questions at all, none whatsoever. I just want to say, you know, you just touched on such an important point now about, I think one thing I love about G4G is that you see the girls start, and by this session, the voices are coming out, exactly what you said, Esther. And by the end of session 6, you're not going to know yourselves, you know, and it's so beautiful to me to see the confidence growing and the confidence from, you know, from building trust, courageous leadership, communication, and now negotiation. Guys, you can already walk into any place in the world and negotiate whatever you want and be whatever you want because you already have the basic skills. The next 2 sessions are the icing on the cake, but you are already on your way there. So I want to thank you for your incredible commitment because, you know, you talk about how people aren't here, but the ones who are here are the ones who are actually making an effort to improve themselves and to be the leaders that they want to be. So congratulations to every one of you that's in this room for actually committing and for making the effort, because this will change your life. It really will change your life. I truly believe that. I've seen it happen. I'm seeing it happening in this group already. And I know that you are all going to be phenomenal leaders in your time. I know you will be. Sorry, so that's me. Shining spotlight on all of you. Thanks, Milka.
Thanks, Val. Thanks, Val. I would struggle to pick on one person. I say I really, I learn from the girls as much as they learn from from us mentors. I think Manesi is soft-spoken, but you can tell that she's very strong. Yeah, she's very strong. She knows her position. Katleho sounds very soft-spoken, but she's very strong-willed. That's the word, yeah? So she comes across like she knows exactly where she's going. And Bali is very authentic. I don't know. I think authenticity. Lerato have not dealt with a lot, and I mean, but she's mature. I know where I'm going. She's very mature, and from her example, really, the maturity came across like, this is my strength. Thank you so much for being honest and giving us feedback. Val, is there anyone I've left out?
Beautiful Mokehana, who we can't hear, who dials in at 6 o'clock in the morning from Hawaii every session. I mean, that is just phenomenal. And even when she's not feeling well, wow, well done. That's just amazing.
Thanks for your commitment, Mokehana. Right. Oh yeah, and Esther is very strong. I hope when I grow up, I want to be like Esther. Yes, and thank you, Mom, for your support. Yeah, we do everything afraid. Hey, I was very afraid. This is my first time to do G4G, and then Val asks me to do the facilitation. I thought she must be crazy.
You were wonderful.
Okay.
Milka, can I give it back to you to say, when I said, no, I'm new, I haven't done this before, you said to me, I'm just as new and I'm running this one, so you're coming on board. So you didn't spare me, you didn't listen to my petty cry of being new. And thanks for giving me the courage to look up to you and to do it because you did it.
You're very welcome. Yes, thank you so much.
Truly amazing.
Shall we move on to the homework, Val, or is there anything else okay. So for homework, you need to do some research on public service and giving back to the community. And then there's a quote that was written by JFK. Today is all about JFK. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Do you have a speaker for next session? We will, yeah?
We do have, I think Mogihana is going to be facilitating next session. We don't have a speaker as yet, but we are going to have someone amazing, I promise you.
Mogihana is already someone who's doing public service, eh?
I know, actually, guys, I sorry, my voice is bad, but no, I don't. I think Val, I told you, I didn't think if there is someone that can facilitate. I just got my fever last night. That's kind of what I was told her in the message.
I misunderstood
Yeah.
you. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, we'll make a plan.
Super. All right. Anything else? Have I forgotten something, Val?
Don't forget the feedback forms, please, ladies.
Yes, please do that.
And the video we'll share.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you so much for being so engaged and for participating. Everybody has said something. I'm so grateful. Thank you for making my first session ever work. Should I say it worked? It went okay. I wish you a fantastic. Is it 2 weeks now? Or is it next week?
No, it's next week. Next week.
So we'll see you. We'll see you on Thursday next week.
Before you go, please, pass our sincere thank you and gratitude to Emily. She was fantastic. And I learned a lot, and I'm sure you all learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Yes, I will do that. Thank you, Esther. All right. Have a lovely evening. Have dinner if you've not eaten already. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.